The National Memorial to the Few at Capel was opened in 1993 by Her Majesty the Queen Mother. It's a monument that remembers the heroes of the Battle of Britain, the aircrew who flew. There were just under 3,000 men who flew in the Battle of Britain, which took place in 1940, as I'm sure your listeners will know. The wall down at at Capel, the memorial wall, lists the names of all of the aircrew who flew. So some of them are still alive. So it's not a monument to those who died. A fair few of them did, but many of them, 50 or 60, are still alive around the world. So it's a place where we have a central statue, a central monument of a pilot looking out to sea. We have the Christopher Folkestone Norris Memorial Wall, which lists all the names. We now have a Hurricane and a Spitfire replica on site, and other attractions down there. It's a clifftop site. It's very evocative. It's a beautiful place to have a wander, have a think about the sacrifice that these men made.
Tell us about the sorts of events that happen on the site.
On either the first or second Sunday in July, we have Memorial Day, which is the Sunday closest to the start of the battle. We have a parade. We have some of the few. The few are the names that we give to the veterans. Some of the few are there as well. We have a big parade. The ATC are there, Chief of the Air Staff, various bigwigs, the RAF Central Band, and we have a very big parade commemoration of the battle and those who died, and also a tribute to those who are still alive and still with us. And it's a very big day for us.
Now, when I've been there previously, quite a few times, I've seen the wall, of course, and the main monument. And also there's a small hut where you can buy some souvenirs and have a cup of coffee. But you're planning a much larger building on the site. Tell us about this building.
It is indeed very exciting. This is called The Wing. It's a project that we dreamt up during the 70th anniversary back in 2010. The wing will be a large building shaped like a Spitfire wing, double wing of a Spitfire, including the slope at the ends, if your listeners know what a Spitfire looks like, Spitfire wings. It will house an audiovisual exhibition. It's a visitor centre, but it's not a museum. There is a fantastic museum up the road, as you know, up at Hawkinge. We're not trying to recreate that. We won't have any exhibits in there. What we'll have in there are big video walls and audiovisual installations where people can walk around, probably take about 20 minutes or so to go around the site to get a real flavour of what the Battle of Britain was about. The other half, one wing will be the exhibition, the other half will be a learning centre, education, a big classroom where teachers can take groups and talk to them about the Battle of Britain, how important it was. We've managed to raise enough money to build it. We're working on getting the rest of the money to fit it out, all the high-tech computer gizmos inside, which take a bit of money as well. But the building itself is secure. That started towards the end of last year. Despite the fairly awful weather this year, progress has been really impressive.
In terms of the running of this place, is it going to have an open feel where people can just walk in and there's not going to be any staff there? Or in your plans, have you got funding for it to be staffed with, educational officers?
It will be staffed. There'll be someone on duty the whole time. Essentially just take the admission charge. And I must stress immediately, there's an admission charge for the audiovisual side. People will still be able to visit the memorial itself completely free. That will never be out of bounds. It's a national memorial, and that will always be free. But if you want to visit the experience, there will be a small charge attached to that. There will be someone on hand to organise that and to sell souvenirs and to run the tea bar. I'm guessing we'll still be using a lot of volunteers. It'll be running, it'll be going, it'll be active, it'll be lights, sounds. Every 10 minutes there'll be a huge presentation on the rear wall with live footage of film running and sound effects and everything you'd expect. So it'll be a major experience.
So talking about the pilots themselves that flew in the Battle of Britain, now I'm in my 40s now. When I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, there were lots of friends of mine who had grandfathers who were pilots and fought in the war and so on. And I've always really thought that these people are still around, but actually time has passed and there's very few of the few around anymore. Do you think that it's very important to still keep the memory of the Battle of Britain and the importance of it alive?
I think it's very important, and that's one of the reasons, or the main reason, why the Trust is committed to this project. At the moment, and if you go back to the 70th anniversary even, there were 70 or 80 of the Battle of Britain pilots still around, and we could regularly turn out 6, 7, 8, 10, even 12 sometimes pilots to talk to people, to be there and sign things. That number is dwindling, and there will come a point, probably in the next 6, 7, possibly 10 years if we're lucky, when there are no aircrew left. They know that, and they want to make sure that when they're not around, the Battle of Britain doesn't become another Agincourt or Waterloo. It's not just part of history. It's still alive while the pilots are alive. When they're no longer with us, we need to make sure there's something left behind that tells their story.